All right, welcome to Pantry Basics. This class is born out of a question that I keep getting is, what do I need in my pantry? And how do I begin to do that? So if you've ever seen me teach before, you know where I'm going to start. It's got to start right in the Word of God. There is nothing that I do that should be apart from the Word of God. So I hope you have your Bibles. And if you don't, I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to go into Matthew, starting in verse 35. And I'm reading out of the ESV. It says, "For I was hungry," and this is Jesus talking, "and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? When did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me." Real powerful statement. He's asking, and they're going, "When did I ever feed you, Jesus? I didn't feed you. What are you talking about?" And yet, when we have and we give, we do it in the name of Jesus Christ, and he is glorified. I get some pushback from some fellow believers who are like, "Well, you don't trust God if you prepare." I do trust God. And I do what I believe he tells me to do. So maybe you're one that he's never told you to have any extra. I don't know why you're here, but our Genesis 41, read the story of Joseph. Serious consequences if Joseph hadn't done what God told him to do. How many millions of people would have died? Proverbs 30 verse 21 talks about 25, 21. Anyway, Proverbs 30, we talk about the ants, and ants are up a lot in Proverbs, and they work all summer long and put food aside all summer. So how are we? Oh, Sarah, that's a beautiful picture. How do we do any less than that? They store up food all summer. Or we can look at Matthew 14 and 15. Here they are, he's teaching, and there's 5,000 people, and they're like, "We got to feed them." And Jesus says, "What do you got?" So if the disciples had brought nothing, what would Jesus have multiplied? What would he have presented to God? I'm not Jesus, so I don't know, but he had a few loaves and a few fish, and Jesus took what they had and multiplied them. So in Revelation 6:6, it talks about a loaf of bread or 3 loaves of barley bread for a day's wages. And hopefully we never get to that, but groceries are expensive. So why do we have a pantry? Why do we need a pantry? I have a pantry as I feel like because God calls us to feed people. If I don't have, I can't give. We're not meant to have a pantry to hoard it all for ourselves. Whatever the Lord calls us to do, it's always for others and for him, not just for you. So pantry. What is a pantry? Yeah. For some, it's just a cupboard. Some has an entire room. I mean, you go on YouTube and see people's pantries and you go, whoa, oh my goodness. So how do you create a pantry? I get asked all the time, what do I buy to put in my pantry? And my answer is the same, and it's a question. What do you have? And most people don't know what they have. So the first task in building your pantry is to remove everything food-wise that you have in your cupboards and put it on your counter, because you don't know what you have, most of us. So pull it all out. You're going to make a mess, but it's okay. So pull it all out, because you don't know what you need to add if you don't know what you already have. So here you go. You've got it now on your counter. And now you need to make a list. You need to organize it. You go, oh, look at this. I have 3 bags of spaghetti. Put it all in the same pile. You know, if it's baking stuff, maybe it's a muffin mix, maybe it's a pancake mix. Put things in piles that make sense to you, because you're going to build your list off of what's all over your counter right now. So categorize it. And then you need to know what you're going to add to it, because when you take a look at everything that you have and you make a list and categorize everything you have, this is where your homework comes in. What can you make out of what you have? Can you feed your family something that they actually will eat out of what you have? If you can, that's awesome. Write it down. I can make them this. And if you need something in particular that would make it so yes, they will eat it, then you need to write that down, that that's something you would need to add to your pantry to do this. So make a list, you know, baking supplies, pasta, rice. Maybe you like boxed food. I have some canned meat. I got a whole list: fruit, veggies, crackers, cereal. Now, okay, here's the thing. I don't store a lot of cereal. I know a lot of people do, but I kind of have a hard time going, you want $5 for that little box? So I don't do much cereal, but that's okay. If you got kids and they love cereal, you need to put cereal. Sauces. I personally like to buy sauces in jars, because I never use all of it in one setting typically, and then I have something to put it back in, and then I have another jar that I can use for something else. Maybe you've got cans of soups, stews, chilies, your mixes. Could be anything. Dried fruit and treats. We all love treats. These are things that are treats. They're not stockpile of, boy, I need nutrition, right? So make a list of what you got. And now we're going to build your pantry. Are you ready? Okay, so did you do your homework? What do you typically eat for breakfast? You got to have stuff in your pantry for breakfast. You got to have things that people are going to eat. Now, I could tell you what I have in my pantry, but I'm not you, and my family isn't yours. So most people who eat normal food have things like white flour. I don't have white flour in my pantry. Every flour product I have is gluten-free, because that's my life. Hopefully it's not yours, because I'm sure your biscuits will taste way better than mine. But you need to put in there what they eat. So look at what you have. What can you make out of it? Seriously, you need to look at your thing. What's on your counter? And go, oh my goodness, I have rice. Okay, what can I do with rice? What can I make as a meal with my rice? And what do I need to add that maybe my picky 6-year-old will go, oh, I can eat it now. I know there's some that go, oh, my child only eats Kraft macaroni and cheese. Well, then my suggestion is that you got Kraft macaroni and cheese in your pantry, because we want food that people eat. It does you no good to run out and go, oh my goodness, I bought 4 big bags of dried beans and a bag of lentils. I am set through Armageddon. No, especially if you don't eat beans, you don't know how to cook beans, and what are you going to do? So don't buy stuff simply because you saw it on YouTube in a list, said you got to have these things. Food does us no good if we aren't going to eat it. So only put in what you're going to eat. And what you have in your cupboard right now is probably the basis of what you eat because you've already bought it and put it in there. So you should have seasonings. We use a ton of garlic in my house. So I've got minced garlic, I got powdered garlic, I got garlic salt, and I have fresh garlic. It all just depends on what Brian wants to put in my food, right? So if there's a spice that you absolutely use all the time, you have to have it in your pantry, because when you're eating out of your pantry, you want it to be what you're used to. You don't want your whole family to go, oh, this is terrible, I'm not eating it. Food you prepare that nobody eats is trash. And you just, the money that you spend on it, the time is done. But also, here's the thing that I learned last year during lockdown. It is awesome to try new recipes. And as everyone in this house will tell you, I failed more times than I was successful. But we have to burn it to learn it, kind of a thing. We have to be willing to try the recipe in order to find out if it works for us. And if it does, oh, big win in your pile right there. It could be a new dinner. It could be a new lunch. It could be a new breakfast in your meal plan, which is awesome because you don't want to be eating manna every single day. I'm sure the Hebrews loved it, but I know in my house, if I said to my husband, look, we're having the same thing for dinner 4 nights in a row, he'd be like, maybe you, but not me. That's not how he wants it. So make a list of everything you have, not in your freezer. We'll get to freezer later, but this is all because to me, in my opinion, a pantry is all shelf stable items. Our freezer is great and it holds extra stuff, but it doesn't hold pantry things. The pantry things help me create a meal without having to worry about thawing or planning ahead, because I'm horrible at planning ahead when it comes to the meal. I typically go, oh, it's 4 o'clock, I got to make dinner. Yeah, a pantry is awesome because it allows me to continue and just pull something out and whip it up. So for your breakfast, what's your typical breakfast? I mean, you can do things like eggs, oatmeal, all kinds of different hot cereals. I love grits. Grits are awesome. And no, I'm not even from the South and I love grits, but you have those because those make a really filling, fast breakfast. They do. I buy oatmeal in the big box at Costco, and I don't buy, I have steel cut oats or I have old fashioned oats. The only reason I ever buy the quick oats is if I'm going to make somebody, what do they call it? No bake cookies. That's it. And that's not even very often because I don't eat it. Cause to me, it doesn't keep you full as long. The nutritional value is way down and you want something that's filling and can stick to you for a long term. And oatmeal, you can use it for anything. I will throw some in my little NutriBullet and zap it and turn it into flour. And I'll use that as flour in different things. So food that has more than one purpose, huge bonus for your pantry. Maybe you do like cold cereal. That's great. I am the only one in my house that eats it. And I don't buy it very often because first of all, there's very few cereals that I can eat. And oatmeal is just so much more versatile to me. So yeah, oatmeal. And you can make breakfast cookies. I'm telling you, they're huge in my house with my grandkids. It's simply bananas, oatmeal, and raisins in a little bit of salt and a little bit of cinnamon. And you mix them all up together and you cook them. And they are so excited they're eating cookies for breakfast? Simple. Meal plan. Do you guys meal plan? We have, since Brian has been on the program called Ideal You, we really had to look at what he was going to eat as meal every single day. I don't typically meal plan for me. My meals are pretty boring. I eat the same thing. It's no big deal. So meal planning will help you immensely when you get started with your pantry. So most people, when they go to the grocery store, has a list. You take your little list and you're going to buy everything that's on your list. That's great. That's great. I'm all about that. That's wonderful. So if you have things on your list that can go in your pantry, it's very simple. If you can, you buy a second one. Yeah, it's that easy. So if you need peanut butter, pick up 2. If your budget allows it. If not, you got to do a little bit more. Okay, how am I going to do this? Do I need to buy this so I can buy that? You have to do what works for you. But things like, what are they called? I have a hard time what they're really called because of what my grandkids call them. The mandarin oranges, they love them. So I buy them. Every time I go to Aldi's, I pick up another 6 cans just because they're always on my shelf. So pick up extras of what you use. Seriously. Don't pull up this prepper list thing. They go, oh, how to have a year's worth of food in a month. And you go, okay, so I bought a bag of this and I don't even know what to do with it. You probably won't use it. Spend your money on food that you're going to eat. For example, being gluten-free, they had on Amazon a sale on a case of Namaste scone mix. I love scones. So I bought it because not only can I make scones, I can make biscuit, I can make a dump cake kind of a thing. I can use that mix for other things. So it's not just a one and done kind of a thing, because then it doesn't belong in my pantry. If it's a single purpose kind of a thing, it doesn't need to have space there. But scone mix for me, yes, it does have to have space there because I love it. And everybody eats it, not just me. So it's time to go shopping. Did you look at everything on your counter? Did you take a look and categorize everything? If you have, let's say, for example, you have 5 bags of spaghetti. And for your house, that's 5 meals. That's awesome. But you have no sauce for them. What needs to be on your list? Because I don't think anybody just really likes plain spaghetti. You got to have sauce and stuff. So maybe you have a couple cans of tuna, but you love tuna noodle something, and you don't have any of those noodles. Noodles need to be on your list because that way you can combine and make a meal. So your pantry is all about being flexible. Seriously. Because if I want something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this. And I go to my pantry and it's not there. I have a lot of other options that I can do. Because here in Michigan, winter's coming. It has been telling us the last few days with frost on the windshields and frost on the grass that it is coming for us. And I am a fair weather driver. I know I live in Michigan, sounds crazy, but I am. I don't like driving in the yucky roads, but so I am not going to go get in my car and go, oh my goodness, I need a can of this in order to make that. I'm not going to do it. And with your pantry set, you don't have to. You can go, oh, can I substitute something for that? yes, I can do this. It's going to taste maybe a little different, or I could just make this instead. So it is a great thing to have a pantry, because we need to be able to feed people, feed our family, and feed whoever God puts on our heart to feed. So have you looked at everything? Take out, you're going to make a mess. I know, because I have over the past year really gotten away from any type of organization in my pantry. So Tori and I, over the next couple of weeks, are going to pull everything out and look at everything and reorganize. It's going to make a mess. It's going to make a mess. It's going to make clutter. But I know, I'm sure there's something in my pantry that's gotten pushed to the back that's probably now out of date, that didn't get used. And I need to know that. I need to look at that now instead of, sorry about that. We might be being invaded. So we can do this if we plan ahead. I really got off. Yeah, dogs. Okay, nice dogs. Thanks, guys. Loud dogs, great family. So in your pantry, what is your shopping strategy? So do you love baking? Then you need baking stuff. Do you hate baking? Then maybe baking stuff isn't a priority. Okay. So here's the thing. Cooking from scratch is far cheaper than cooking from a box or putting a frozen something in. And it's far better for us. Seriously. So don't be afraid to try something new, but don't stock up. Oh, Tater came back. Don't stock up on something that you've never tried because you think somebody else said, oh, I loved it and it's going to work great. You have to know. You have to know what works for your family. So there is a fabulous book that I have used and used and used so much so I had to go buy a new one. And I'm going to recommend this. It's called The Prepper's Pantry. And don't be afraid of the title. Okay. Daisy Luther is amazing. Everything that I've learned, I got from her, because she started out with nothing. She said, she goes, okay, start my pantry. I had nothing in my pantry. I think she says she didn't even have like a pack of ketchup in her pantry. So if you're starting with very little, don't be intimidated, because today's the day. You know, we're just going to go ahead and get started. If you don't bake bread and you want to learn how to bake bread, today's the day. You need to learn how to bake bread, but you got to give yourself grace, because you're going to mess up. Just ask my family, because I tried all kinds of different things last year. And they were like, what are we trying today? And I'd be like, oh, we're going to do this. I saw this. Yeah. But you have to be willing to burn it, to learn it. Okay. And it's okay. So crock-pots are your friend. Instapot. Oh, love my Instapot. And things that can help you make a tasty meal quick and yummy and filling. So canned meats, huge for your pantry, but they have to be canned meats that you eat. Like, don't even put tuna on my shelf, because ain't nobody in this house going to eat it. You know, we'll be like, can I feed it to the cats? I'm not buying it. I buy canned sardines, not for me. I buy them for my dad, because my dad loves them. So don't be intimidated by somebody else's list. And I'm going to say this at least 100 times if I say it once, because your pantry is your pantry for you and your family and how you cook. So maybe you homeschool and you have 5 kids sitting around your table for lunch. What are you going to make for lunch? What do you need in your house to make meals for lunch? It just needs to be in your pantry. Okay. And my prayer for you is that you begin this process. And before you know it, you go, you know what? I got enough in my pantry for 30 days. Think of the freedom that gives you, that you don't got to go run to the grocery store and worry about anything, because you've got food in your pantry for 30 days for your family. And it's food they're going to eat. So, and yes, I have a couple cases of Kraft macaroni and cheese because everybody likes them. I don't eat it, but it's okay. The grandkids love it. You know, people love it, and that's good. So think about what your family will eat and think about what you can cook. There's no reason to go, oh, I have to make a 5-course meal. Oh no, make yourself a pot of stew and figure out how to make a little loaf of crusty bread, and there's your dinner. Seriously, nobody needs a big fancy anything. It just needs to be food that tastes good, that fills your belly, and provides family time, because that is what's truly important. I'm just looking at my notes. Sorry. So when you go shopping, you're going to fill in from your list that you made by everything that you have. Okay. So maybe you have a bunch of stuff in a freezer. Then you don't want to throw it all out on a counter because you don't want it to begin to thaw. So your freezer's a little more tricky. You're going to pull it out, write it down, and it's going to have to make a quick exchange. So you know what's in your freezer, because things fall down at the bottom. I know. And then you go, and it's gross. And then I got to throw it away. And then I feel terrible because I just threw that hunk of meat away because it fell down in the cracks and got lost. And that's not good. So we have to keep a running list. That's the only way for us to keep on track of what we truly have. And I'm excited to reorganize my pantry because we went downstairs last night because Tori ran out of Nutella. I know, major food group. And she goes, do we have one? I said, I know we do, because I just bought a 2-pack at Costco, but I didn't put it where it should have been. It got stuck somewhere else. And it took us seriously 10 minutes of moving things before we found it. Not a good thing. So don't do like I do. Really make sure that things are categorized and put where they belong. It's going to take a couple extra minutes, but I'm telling you, you're going to be able to find it. So grains are a staple. Pasta, rice, oatmeal, barley, if you can do that. Yeah. I am now kind of hooked on a fruit and veggie delivery service. It's called Misfits Market. It's all organic fruits and vegetables. And seriously, it's like half the price I can get it in the store. But it is called Misfits for a reason. Sometimes the apples are a little weird shaped, because I can't sell them at the grocery store. So do what you can do for your fresh fruits and veggies. If it was summertime, I'd be telling you, go hit the farmer's market. Support your local people. Big bags tend to be less than small individual. And don't go buy those little baby carrots. Buy the big carrots. They're cheaper. Not quite as quick, but cheaper. Yeah. Eggs. I say that because I got chickens in my backyard and I always have eggs. But here's the thing. The eggs you buy in the grocery store are typically 3 to 4 weeks old already. I know, and they have this date on them. And you go, okay, whatever, because they've been scrubbed, cleaned, bleached, and everything. So easiest way, if you go, first time I ever saw this, we went to Mexico and we went looking for eggs. and I couldn't find eggs. I'm going through all the refrigerator sections. I'm like, where are the eggs? Oh no, they're stacked in cartons all along, along the wall. And I'm like, oh, how do we even eat these? Now I have chickens. Now I understand. So easiest thing is to go to someone who you know has chickens and say, I would like to buy, I don't know, 3, 4 dozen eggs, and I don't want them washed. I just want them in the cardboard containers, and then take them and put them somewhere in your house. And then you scrub them as you use them, because eggs have a coating that allow them to sit at room temperature for weeks. Seriously. I know that's blowing some of your mind. So you see all the time around here, you drive down and it says fresh egg sign in their front yard. Stop and talk to them. Seriously. And go, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Most will be like, sweet, I don't got to clean them. That's awesome. And go from there. So for your pantry, buy an extra if you can. And I know food prices are rising and budgets are tight, but you do what you can. So pantry, here's my list. Okay. These are basic things that you got to have in your pantry. I'm just going to say gotta, because you can make so much. If you have this list, you can make a lot of stuff. Baking items, soda powder, salt. I have I have 3 different kinds. I have the pink Himalayan rock salt that we do as a grinder that I use on our food. I also have iodized salt that we also use in certain things. And I also have kosher salt that I use for canning. So yeast, yeah, cocoa. It's an awesome thing, especially if you got kids and you're baking something and you throw some cocoa in it and you tell people they're chocolate, and they're going to be like, oh, these are the best, right? Powdered milk. I don't know how you feel about powdered milk, but I personally use it all the time, because in our house, we don't really drink a carton of milk. It will go bad long before we're able to use it. So I buy these cans of powdered goat milk, because goat milk protein is easier on my system than cow dairy. So we do that. And that way it calls for milk. I just put in the powder and then add the liquid. It just makes it easier. Flour, get flour. But if you are not a baker, okay, here's the thing. You can buy all-purpose flour, or you can buy self-rising flour. Self-rising flour already has salt and soda in it. So you got to just decide. The easiest thing, I think, is just buy the all-purpose, and then you don't have to worry about that. Cornmeal is awesome to bread things in. It's great. It's good. Oatmeal, eggs. If you can buy a powdered egg. I've never used it. I have bought for a friend the egg replacer, and she uses that. Basically, it's like flaxseed and water, and it makes, you can't eat, don't just make it as scrambled eggs, because yeah, but you could use that. If you are gluten-free and you got gluten-free flour, you're going to need xanthan gum. Yeah, you're going to need xanthan gum, because that's going to pretend that it's gluten and hold things together, or else you will just have crumbs. Seriously, been there, done that. I recommend chocolate chips, because what person doesn't like chocolate chips thrown in something? It will make your pancakes that maybe you tried for the first time that aren't very good. Your kids are going to eat it because you've got a few chocolate chips in it. Yeah. Fat. You got to have fat. I know this society goes, fats are evil. Fat. Oh my goodness. Your body's got to have fat. Has to have fat. We use a lot of coconut oil. Seriously. We use some olive oil. I use a lot of butter. We do. We use butter. I typically buy, I just lost the word. Salted butter. There it is. That's just what I use. Some people use lard. whatever oil, I do, sometimes I buy grapeseed oil, it just, you got to have some kind of oil. Oil is essential in your pantry. Sweeteners, here we go. Okay. Sugar. Sugar is the easiest. Now, I don't eat it, but I have it in my house because I don't only just cook for me, I cook for other people, right? So, sugar, storing brown sugar. You really want it in airtight containers. Yes, because you don't want air. Air is going to dry it out and make it hard. And it's just going to be yucky. Honey. If you have seasonal allergies, you better be using local honey because it helps your seasonal allergies because you get a little bit of pollen and just helps it build in your body and you just get better. Now, if you're allergic to honey, don't eat honey. But honey is awesome. It just sits on my shelf and it gets all hard. And then I stick it in warm water and wait for an hour. And guess what? I got honey again. Molasses. Molasses, I love molasses because a little bit goes a long way, especially in quick breads. Makes a huge difference, brings a depth of flavor that you might not get without it. Maple syrup. And I'm not talking about Aunt Jemima's, okay? Because that's not really maple syrup. That's corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup that's been colored with caramel. So I get all of my maple syrup locally. I also get maple sugar, and I use maple sugar a lot because, again, it adds more flavor. They also have confection sugar on here. I don't ever use powdered sugar, but it's on this list. Other salts, vinegar. White vinegar is awesome. Apple cider vinegar. I highly recommend if you're going to put it in things for baking in that, get the Bragg's. Yeah, you want the organic, natural with the mother in it. Okay. And spices, because it changes up the flavor of what you make and nobody wants boring food, right? So we use, Brian makes killer gravy. Okay, he does. And he uses cornstarch as a thickener. So there you go. Lemon juice. Lemon juice is awesome. 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 So that's, if you don't have all these and you're going to be baking, you probably should get these. So that's a whole lot of fire hose information for you. But your pantry, storage is key. How do you buy things and then store them? I don't tend to store things in, especially not things like beans and rice and oatmeal, or I do instant mashed potatoes. I buy the big old box because it's easy, but I don't store them in that container. I have big old mason jars that I store most everything in because it keeps air out. It keeps bugs out. Seriously. Yeah. So if you can get some jars, if you don't have any, ask people if they have any extras, because if they're anything like me, they seem to multiply in my basement. So I hope that helps. And it makes life so much easier when you're coming out of a pantry, because where's my verse? It says, if we look at Matthew 14:50, we're going to go back to the crowd and Jesus was preaching and he says to them, what is in your hand? And they go, we only have. What did God do with the only? He multiplies and he feeds so many people. So God will take what you have. If you do what he tells you to do, he will take what you have and feed you with it. Because regardless of whatever's going on out there in the world, and let's say the world falls apart, you cannot prepare and have enough ever. Okay. You're just not. You can stack it to the rafters, is like this new saying is. And it's like, yeah, but you still want to have a life. And you have to also trust God to lead you. You have to, because this world is crazy. But I want to have in my house what the Lord wants me to have, to feed the people that he brings to me, that I am asked to feed. Because he said, when I was hungry, you fed me. And what if you wind up feeding and entertaining an angel because you offered them something to eat? And that's the coolest thing, to have a pantry. Unexpected people show up on your door and you just go, oh, all right, I'm going to make it bigger. And you can do that with a pantry. And that's truly, truly why I believe that I'm called to do what I do. Because I want to say, yes, Lord, I will feed whoever you bring to me. And they'll be blessed, because then it's truly the love of Christ. It's truly Christ going, take this, Lord, and multiply it and feed these people. Because in his example, and they said, Lord, when did I ever see you hungry? When did I ever see you thirsty? He says, when you do this for other people, you do it for me. So God bless. I hope that helps. And I know a big fire hose, but get started, And hey, always, 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 you can reach out to me. You can hit me on Facebook, or you can just email me, my 141life@gmail.com. Yeah, because a wise woman builds her house, and that foolish one shows up more times than I care to admit. But that's it. So God bless. Have a marvelous weekend.